Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business, one of our regular features here on The Price of Business. One of my favorites is my time with Chris Kidd. By the way, you can learn more about him at chriskidd, KIDD.com. He's a financial coach and consultant, and works now increasingly with professional athletes, entertainers, and we love learning the stories of people in these fields and their lives beyond the sporting arenas. And I love the features that we do. And I think today's segment looks particularly interesting. Chris Kidd, how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Great. Real quickly, remind us or elaborate a little more on what you do, and then introduce us to your guest today, which looks like a great one.
Well, I'm a financial coach, which basically means I'm more of a teacher than a salesman. I don't have a vested interest in selling anybody any type of businesses or products or anything like that. My interest is in teaching them how to be better managers of their own personal finances, and also to be more sophisticated investors so that they can really understand what they're doing rather than just have to take somebody's word for it and hope the things work out.
Awesome.
My guest today is Michael Stone. He's a former NFL player. I believe he had 7 years in the NFL and then founded the Professional Athletes Franchise Initiative, and he's the founder and CEO of that, and we'll let him tell us about everything that he's doing there, and I think we've got some similar passions. Good to have you on, Michael.
Well, good. It's great to be on, Kevin, Chris.
Yeah, great. Real quickly, Michael, give us your elevator speech, if you will.
Well, I'm a former NFL player. Played about almost 8 years. Was injured with the New York Giants back in 2007 and retired. Founded PAFI, the Professional Athlete Franchise Initiative, to help athletes transition, and specifically to help athletes learn about franchising as a way to be an entrepreneur, in their transition process. So what we do is we educate athletes about the franchise industry and how to be involved.
Love it. Go ahead there, Chris.
What different kinds of franchises do you work with? Do you have particular ones, or do you just kind of teach them how to evaluate franchises? How does that work?
Okay, we're a arm of the International Franchise Association, which is the largest body of franchising. So we're an arm of that organization, and we have about 50 or so brands that support what we do. We're totally funded by the franchise industry and these particular brands. So that goes from Dunkin' Donuts to Massage Envy to Retro Fitness on down to Jersey Mike's. And all these brands have basically said, hey, it's important to us to educate athletes about franchising because they could potentially be, the franchisees of the future for these brands.
By the way, Michael, you and I were neighbors growing up. I grew up in Ferndale, Michigan.
Okay.
I see you were in Southfield, right up the road.
Not too far at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there a pretty good connect between athletes and the idea of owning a franchise? It seems to be huge. My understanding is even our very own J.J. Watt is looking at franchising if he hasn't already pulled the trigger.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think every athlete wants to be an entrepreneur. You're self-made in many ways, and at the end of the day, you've been playing sports for the past few years of your life. So the entrepreneur route is usually the route everybody goes. There are a lot of mistakes made. It's hard to be an entrepreneur. So a lot of people lose a lot of money being an entrepreneur, and franchising is kind of a safer way to be an entrepreneur. So a lot of athletes gravitate to it because they want to be entrepreneurial, but they also want the support and the coaching that you get, in sports and in franchising.
Yeah, very good. Chris?
Well, Michael, do you find it difficult with some of the athletes that you're working with, either before they're done or once they retire, to get them in that mindset and to think like a business owner, or do most of them? I know you said a lot of them are, pretty much entrepreneurial anyway, but sometimes there's a if you haven't grown up and had that I say education, even though it's not really something that's taught in the education world, but it's something, it's a learning process. Do you find that difficult to help others transition?
Oh, definitely. It's like going to school to be a doctor, and when you get done being a doctor, you have to learn how to be a lawyer the second you finish being a doctor. So it's a transition. You're coming from from really applying your body to earn money, to physicality to earn money, and now you have to transition and now leverage that money. And the biggest issue a lot of people have isn't necessarily what they don't know, but who they don't know. So, a lot of guys and gals, professional athletes, don't have a network, don't know who to talk to as far as understanding what they want to get involved in. So we help them in a few ways, help them understand what they want to do, what their goals are, and also help them, navigate through it,
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was going to say, I suppose that, being a former player yourself and, a colleague of some of these guys already, you've kind of got a trust level, and some of them know you versus, there's a lot of people out there that will certainly take advantage of not just athletes, but anybody who has money, whether it's, they're trying to sue a successful business owner or, somebody in the entertainment field or whatnot. There's a lot of people. I always say if you don't have a plan for your money, somebody else does, and it may not always be good.
Exactly.
Is it easy to? Is it a little bit easier to get them to build that relationship with you, being that you know where they're coming from?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you're talking to somebody who's been through what you're about to go through or what you're going through in retirement, it's always your ears are always open a little bit wider. But at the end of the day, I think it's good to connect with people like me, and my goal is to connect them with people with loads of experience in franchising. So, I see myself as a conduit to connect them with the people they should be connected with. People with loads of experience, and who really aren't looking to take advantage of them, but looking to, really assist them. And there are people like that.
Yeah, talking to Michael Stone. He's a guest of Chris Kidd, who's our regular contributor on The Price of Business. Michael Stone's with an interesting organization, the Professional Athlete Initiative, and you can learn more about them at thepriceofbusiness.org. Learn more about Chris at chriskidden.com. And, I noticed from looking at your story, you appear to be really prepared for the potential of having to have to make a transition. Your injury situation kind of accelerated that. What do you think? Most athletes, do they kind of operate with an immortality mentality, or are they prepared for this? What's your thoughts?
I think you're never prepared for an immediate cutting your income, and I compare it to you're going to medical school, and you can only you go to medical school for 8 years, and you can only practice medicine for 2.5 years, and you'll never make another dollar practicing medicine again. So it's an abrupt, immediate stop of your income, and I don't think anybody can be fully prepared for it. But I think education is the way to go, while you're playing, so that you can kind of understand more about, what's out there in the business world while you're actually still making money. So I think
you, by the way, graduated with honors from college, so congratulations.
What did you say?
I said you graduated from the University of Memphis with honors, so congratulations. You are you talk what you practice, so that's awesome.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it was important to me to use that scholarship for all it was worth. So I think a lot of people you want to use that scholarship to get your education. But I think a lot of learnings I've made have been after sports. I'm trying to learn the business world.
Michael Stone and Chris Kidd. Chris Kidd, wrap it up for us today.
It was a great interview. Thanks for being on, Michael, and I will follow up with you on having an extension of this, possibly on some articles or something.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Not a problem.
Yeah,
I enjoy being on, and anytime.
I'd love to do a series of articles with Chris, with you, on some of your athletes that have been going through your program. I think it'd be a great testimony for other athletes to really think about their futures. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the time, fellas. Good talk.
Yep.
Thanks for being on.
Michael Stone, a former defensive back of the NFL, spending time today with Chris Kidd and myself here on The Price of Business. When we come back, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here does show up over there at usdailyreview.com, and this is The Price of Business.